Welcome everyone to a short update here on the Gigabyte Intel NIC situation. In another previous video I reported that on my Gigabyte Elite X670 AM5 board the Intel NIC stopped working from one day to another. Initially I thought maybe BIOS update, but it appears it probably stopped working in between days, just because. And so mostly I wanted to point out how bad PC, personal computer support really is. And I mean, and that is also the reason why people then buy Apple, right? Because this kind of support is exactly what drives people to, which is unacceptable and drives people to go to companies like Apple where support is better. So as you see is this Ethernet controller Intel, this has now device 15FD, also you want to probably see the previous videos. So what happened here somehow, as happened previously with Intel stuff, too often too broken, also ironical, right? AMD high-end systems and bloody Intel NIC. And I also noticed, so thanks, actually I could have opened that, to my own hardware listings here, that I see that the ID changed. So only because of my own documentation. So when I created my T2 hardware page, it was I225-V, and now it says like basically unknown device 15FD. And when you take a look into the Linux kernel sources, this 15, did I say 5F? FD? Wait a second. D is actually that. Wait, that is crazy. Why is that 225? Wait, what do I even have here? I have a 225. Okay, take that back. Actually, wait a second. Was that have a 225? Actually, I could try. Did I not find the 225 firmware? Actually, I thought it is a 226. Anyway, so long story short, it shouldn't happen, but somehow there is an EEPROM with a firmware, which I totally don't agree with. That this stuff should have a firmware and so on. So anyway, I did kind of the right thing. I mean, with my 25 years Linux kernel developer expertise, I took a look. I diagnosed this obviously more than 99.9% of other users, and then in the night I filtered the Gigabyte support. Also, this Gigabyte E support is a total garbage website, right? This is like a 15-year-old experience. This is like registering and like filling it out, like the whole forum e-ticket stuff here. This feels like decade-old garbage software, right? The whole experience is shit. Anyway, so knowing that this will most likely bullshit support, I didn't put too much effort, only like fighting with this bloody forum. I was already like 10 minutes in just registering. Also, I created here my product, right? So there is like my profile, there is my product. I literally wasted 5 minutes filling out a bloody product because it naturally assumed you need to register your product and then fill out a support request. But then it turned out at my profile project registration, there is no issue. So I wasted like 5 minutes registering a bloody product when I could have answered the question there, or had to ask the questions independently anyway. So there's even a typo in there because like 2300 late at night or 10 at night. So yeah, because anyway, but so Intel NIC, I only put the brief information, but why should I give the more story of kernel developer and that happened? It's like basically Intel 2.5 Gigabyte NIC was not working very reliable and now stopped working completely. When I boot, I mean, I didn't tell them I run main Linux, right? My experience is when you tell big corporations, hey, I run Linux, then like, yeah, Linux not supported, right? So I didn't even put them under their nose that I only run Linux, like I only test booted Linux and realized, hey, it says nvm checksum is not valid. Also, yeah, there obviously was like a parenthesis line break, but that of course forum software, 15-year-old forum software, what would you expect? Would also there typo, but yeah, it's 10 at night, there's only so much. Anyway, it appears I would need a download. Like all I literally need is the firmware download, which, because this Intel stuff is so buggy, customer companies at times anyway had to provide, right? I'm asking for the most normal thing. Hey, I make even their life easier. I diagnosed it. Hey, all I need is this NIC firmware. some .bin to refresh this. A download probably named, I even gave them the name, right? The download were probably named fxfl underscore 15fd or whatever dash v bin. Please advise, right? And so and this is what I also had with ASUS, right? When I had some ASUS issue of the BIOS update was shit and the ASUS BIOS didn't allow me to downgrade and stuff last year. So I don't even contact support often, but each time I contact support like that, you only get garbage back, right? Dear customer, thank you for emailing Gigabyte. Also emailing, right? I filled out the support from her. We are delighted with your interest in our products. Interest in I purchased it. Like thank you for purchasing a Gigabyte. Delight in your interest in our product. For complaints within the guarantee period, please contact your dealer. It's like, so you want me, instead of giving me a freaking download, all I need is a bloody firmware download. You want me to disassemble this shit, bring it back to the bloody dealer, just because your low quality garbage yet that you sold it on the board from Intel somehow lost its bloody firmware. I mean, not even all my extra efforts, right? I need to disassemble this stuff, need to deal with the dealer. I mean, this is hours of extra work bothering the bloody dealer, which doesn't even have much to do with that. They only sold me this stuff. I mean, it's Gigabyte's design and manufacturing. I find this is the worst, like this is one of the worst low quality responses I ever got. Maybe the worst was the Microsoft Surface previous video touch disease on my Surface Pro 3, which Microsoft just said, yeah, it's out of the warranty period. It's like they have manufacturing defects and all this Entric digitizers develop touch disease. It's like, and then you buy this overpriced premium Microsoft Surfaces and then all you tell me, yeah, we are sorry, it's out of the warranty period. Like, yeah, but anyway, how can this be? My main point with this, I mean, I can deal with this, right? I can plug in another PCIe card. I right now have I have so many dongles. I right now have a dongle, USB-C Ethernet dongle on there. I can live with that, right? My point of this video is that you understand this correctly, why I even published it. I wouldn't need to publish it, right? I could make my life easy. I could make here a nice review, like do proper stuff, like a nice review for the Steam Deck. I would have had better things to do. My point is, it is entirely unacceptable after 40 years of the personal computer that this is support, right? This is not support. This is anti-support. These are not patterns. These are not support patterns. These are support anti-patterns, right? That basically, and this is also wasting their resources, right? Instead of their cheapest option of just providing the customers the bloody firmware download, they make it more expensive for everyone by me dealing with other companies giving back the hardware. And then the problem, and that is also the thing, right? I mean, theoretically, if I would have too much time, I mean, basically disassembling all the shit, packaging and going back to the dealer or sending it somewhere is more effort for me. It's more effort for me than just making this YouTube video, right? Before you are like, why do you make this YouTube video? I want to put light on the shady practices of big mega corporations, and we're talking Gigabyte here, right? We're not talking. I once purchased a motherboard of J&W, a Minix board, SP750 or stuff with AM2 plus or so, AMD Phenom and stuff. Sure, this was like no-name stuff out of Hong Kong or wherever. We're talking one of the big PC players, right? And this is not a no-name stuff out of China. That is I wouldn't call it AAA. It's an A-level first-tier PC equipment manufacturer. And getting such a uninformed, unhelpful, and outright time-wasting for everyone response is unacceptable on all levels. And if someone from Gigabyte, ASUS, and Intel and AMD and stuff, if you want to support my channel and Linux development, contact me. Let's do some nice things, right? But this is not nice things. This is time-wasting bullshit for everyone and for me, because like if I would be a home user who would not have more resources, I would now need to pack the stuff together and go to the dealer. I actually bought this by a local dealer in Berlin, but it doesn't matter if I would have bought it by Amazon. Newegg sent it back there. And the problem is also I will be without a board, right? Instead of just giving me the download, I will be out of using my hardware. As this is 600. This is not a cheap board, right? It's 600. I probably paid 650 euro. In the meantime, it's down to 550 because market is down and stuff. This is one of the most expensive. Sure, there are more expensive Threadripper and Epic boards and stuff. But then imagine you have server components, right? Am I assured as a company to purchase server boards, Epic boards, Threadripper boards, right? And this is exactly what I mentioned at the beginning of this video, why people then go to Apple, right? Because at Apple, you get replacements, you get proper stuff. You probably, with all, as I criticize Apple and hashtag Peatbugs, it was never that an Apple product lost its firmware. And yeah, so for me, due to that, I will probably try my luck. So first of all, I will just continue working with a USB-C dongle, right? 2022, it's like, yeah, plug in a USB-C dongle. Otherwise, I probably have a spare PCIe card, probably not 2.5 gig. I probably have a 1 gig PCIe spare part in my hardware archive box. But that is silly, right? This is silly. That is not professional. And I want this to change, right? This needs to change. We are in information age where everyone should code and stuff, and this is all you get. Basically nothing, right? This is a total nothing support, and that probably also means I thought I have a 226. Now looking on the PCI ID here, I actually have because obviously that PCI ID text listing here, text database listing didn't say that. Actually, the more research you do, so 15 FD, right? So actually, I think I should have a download because I thought, yeah. By the way, I'm not other 225-V. I thought I 15 F3. Let me check. I thought maybe I even have that, and I could just always live on. This is thankfully the way I wanted it. So I will probably, for my luck and stuff, try 15. Was it 15 F3? Hey, I even have this download. So yeah, I found this on the French, and that's the crazy stuff, right? I found it already with my Google Foo. This was not easy to find. There are some downloads, as on the previous video. There was even this. It was a known defect of the early revisions of this 225 to be so shit that they failed so much. They were so unreliable and broke. So, by the way, what revision do I have? I thought it was. Why does it say revision 1? I mean revision 1 because there is a revision 2 of this 225, and revision 1 was supposed to be the totally buggy revision. And the last but not least, so yeah, I will then try, like now that I realize I actually have the firmware, I thought I have 226. Then I will just try to flash that and hope for the best. I have no idea if that will work, maybe it will work. But yeah, 2022, if you are somewhat motivated and dedicated and attention to detail, you solve it faster with random forum posts of leaked firmware and leaked binaries, right? It's what leaked so top secret that each board has it installed and flashed on the bloody EEPROM. So yeah, I will try my luck here. I learned a bunch, including like at least the win-win is I now have proof how bad support really is with ASUS Gigabyte, putting expectations meeting expectations with reality. I learned that this modern more than 1 gig NICs have way more firmware state than I'm comfortable with. And if I wouldn't have this experience that this Intel NIC stopped working, I wouldn't even know how buggy this Intel NICs are, right? And that is the thing. People ask you, what can you recommend? I don't know. I had some cheap Realtek. I had some former Intel, which were fine. On the AMD Phenom boards from 10 years ago, we had some, was it Atlantic? Of whatever, which manufacturer was that even? Anyway, so I mean, and this Atlantic, was it Marvel or Atlantic, which vendor was that? The problem is, this Marvel Quinta rotation, TX, was it TX5 or I don't know, whatever. And that is what I also said in the previous videos, right? Why do these companies not stop making barley changed and incompatible variants? That, like, so many people commented under the previous video that they previously used Intel and they became worse. They previously used Marvel and they became worse. It's like, yeah, it's not only my perception of Apple stuff getting worse. Like I never really left PC. I always had some PCs, but that's also different when you previously purchased an SG Octane or Sun Ultra Spark and so on. Of course, you paid double and stuff for more quality hardware, right? And if you then contacted your Sun support or IBM support, you don't get bullshitted like that, right? Sure, it costs you like twice as much, and that is why a business run IBM and previously some Microsystems or SGI stuff, because not only performance, but also support like this. Maybe you can't call the support or complain directly. So like complain, I don't want to complain. I just want the freaking firmware download. I asked nicely that the stuff broke. I only asked shortly but nicely. It's like I don't want to complain. It's like also I thought I contacted their support. Like last but not least, you want, like, I thought I registered for the official support channel and then you tell me go to some other Gigabyte RMA center. It's like I thought I'm in the support and stuff center. But anyway, also it's like, yeah, this is exactly what did I say earlier. The whole website experience was like 15-year-old low quality website stuff. It's like, yeah, only with GIF animations or whatever. Maybe it's not GIF, maybe it is. Last but not least, if you're satisfied with our service, please rate us. Only if you're satisfied. If you're unsatisfied with our service, please don't rate us. If not, we please receive constructive criticism in this way. Here is my constructive criticism, right? If customer asks for stuff, answer them without bullshitting them and sending them to some other stuff, and email contains. So this email recurrently contains confidential and/or proprietary information. Content of email is intended exclusively for the recipients specified in the email. Doesn't belong to a group like you. Anyway, it's crazy. So yeah, don't forget to share, like, subscribe. I actually wanted, so the crazy stuff is I actually just wanted to work on some Linux kernel stuff with AMD P-State stuff. So we can just go over to my even more random live channel and do some actual software development, because I'm also not satisfied with the AMD P-State driver. And this email just came in, right? Just when I wanted to start working here on AMD P-State stuff, then it's like, hey, Gigabyte support, we have no answer for you. Amazing. So yeah, and please share, like, subscribe, spread the word, because this needs to change, right? I would have thought, I mean, this is an answer like in the 80s, right? You have an IBM, so you have the first IBM PC in your hand, and the support doesn't know what they talk about, and you doesn't know, and know all the computer stuff is new. Hey, we had a personal computer for 40 years. This is, last but not least, an unacceptable level of support, right? And then, like, as I mentioned, everything should be IT and educated and stuff. And in IT, we deal on such a level that you get like nothing. And also, Intel should provide this download, right? Intel always in these forums, because other people also ask me, this stuff is so broken that other people also ask, and Intel should just provide it, right? The excuse of Intel is always, it is specific to the vendor and it may break the hardware and stuff. It's like, hey, it is one bloody NIC with one EEPROM. What board specific should be there on this board? I mean, don't tell me that Asus and Gigabyte modify this firmware. Obviously, usually not. I mean, if you have a very dedicated firewall product, maybe, or some totally exceptional hardware stuff, but 99% of the people, they don't even get the right, they don't even get the source code from Intel to modify it, right? So I would also call this bullshit from Intel not providing the download directly to the customers and instead sending them here to the support and RMA hell. It's disgusting. So comments there. Last but not least, let's quickly check the comments. Let's scroll a little bit up. Where is even? Oops, this happened only live on this channel. It's interesting subject. How come buying high-end stuff has worse support? Believe support can't catch up speed of technology. Yeah, but even if, and this is the most expensive, as I mentioned previously, this is the most expensive motherboard I ever purchased for 650 euro. And previously my 320 at the time X570 board was previously the most expensive. Usually I only purchased main boards that were less than $200. And like this even for a 100 or 200 board, I would expect top-notch and to-the-point support. And this is the most expensive main logic board I ever purchased. And maybe not counting the Apple G5, which had this all integrated and stuff. Yeah, they could give an attachment bin file. Yeah, and probably more people will experience. When I unboxed it, this NIC was unreliable, right? And I don't know if it failed due to their BIOS. Also, yeah, good luck if you have BIOS problems, right? I mean, like the new BIOS is highly unstable, and I obviously flashed the previous version back, right? Maybe it broke due to their new unreliable, even totally unstable BIOS, right? Obviously, I don't know that. Hey, Ian Henshins there. If you're anything like me, then it's time to vacation, give you a brain rest, December. Yeah, I mean, I'm literally giving, I'm giving me the open source vacation here on my home desk. If you've noticed the last days here on this channel, like I'm giving me the vacation at home and my most expensive, precious main logic board fries itself, right? But yeah, thanks for that. Happy to hear from you and happy seasonal December for everyone. Someone should send this to level 1 and LTT. 650 euro. Yeah, be my guest. We previously had the shout out on level 1 and LTT for this work on RGNA 2 on Unmatched High 5. Yeah, be my guest, share it there. And I wish they would shed some light on this, because this is disgusting. It's not support. And tech companies cannot treat customers like this. We have still something. As usual, I continue to ramble here because it's also just so unbelievable and people are still here. But last but not least, what did I want to say now? I wanted to say, last but not least, the only reason they can get away with this, because too many customers don't have an understanding how tech work, right? So most customers wouldn't know what happened with their NIC. Most customers wouldn't have diagnosed it, that it somehow lost its firmware, and all you need is flash the firmware. And like if this would be on my father, which even my father is an electrician, sure, my father is obviously 60, and electrician and stuff. It's like I grew up with his 260. I mean, he was building 260, 286 and 386 and stuff, but obviously then stopped when I took over PCs. So, but even my father, who is an electrician and built PCs when he was as young as me, he would not have diagnosed it, right? My father would also, even with some education and electrician and stuff, he would also only call them and it's like, hey, my NIC stopped working and stuff. And that is, even when the pro user's diagnosis, or the neighbor, or the family member, even then you get shitty support. Imagine I would have supported my father, right? He built his PC and like I spent the time for him or some neighbor, and all you get, and then you have to deal with such support. You put all the efforts in this, and this is a problem, or obviously in work, like professional work, right? Hospital and stuff, or like this is a computer-aided design of some 3D modeling and stuff, and it's like, yeah, you can't support this tech like this, right? And that is maybe why people use it only for gaming, not professional stuff. Maybe you, I mean, sure, if you're a company, then you buy some Lenovo and Hewlett Packard or similar such companies. Anyway, so that's it for this video. This is the state of IT. Let's go over there. Should I try to flash that? The crazy thing is, I wonder if it because of, as I said, I found this download here. So I can also actually try to flash this. Actually, I don't know which is it 2 megabyte or 1. So I also previously wondered why there is a 1 and 2 megabyte download. But yeah, I probably should link that. If probably Safari should still have in the history where this download came from. If I find it, I will link it below the video for other people who have lost firmware. And also, by the way, I wonder why. So this Intel developers put that in here. Also, that's wrong. Here. The Intel developers put in this blank PCI ID. I wonder why. Maybe I should also, share, like, subscribe. I actually obviously need funding, right? There is so much stuff you could improve, because I wonder why the Linux kernel, as he already knows this blank NVM IDs here, why does the Linux kernel not print a warning? Like, hey, hello, print K. This stuff has no firmware. It will not work. And because the Linux kernel tries, right? I mean, there is no point of this IDs being in there because it will not work with the blank NVM. So, non-volatile memory. So either the IDs don't need to be in there, or if the IDs are in there, then the Linux kernel driver actually could be as smart as print out a proper warning, because I would have easily saved an hour if the Linux kernel driver would have printed out, hey, this has blank flashed, go grab some firmware and flash it on there. And I mean, how should I know that, right? And theoretically, and so much stuff to improve, right? Theoretically, you could even submit this to the PCI device ID database, because currently this ID, it's in the Linux kernel, but not in the latest PCI IDs text database, right? So theoretically, this could also list this as a blank NVM, if we wanted to have stuff perfect, right? But this is also one more thing of how much stuff can be improved, not only in Intel's official Linux drivers, but surrounding hardware data basis of listing stuff more precise and less error-prone and stuff to save everyone's work and stuff. But yeah, anyway, that's it for this video. Don't forget to subscribe, Patreon, GitHub, sponsorship and stuff. And but also if Ian is Ian, how was this? Irish versus US? Ian, right? Basically, it has not even so much to do with being overworked and stuff. Like, I mean, I'm already a little bit on having family time, more family time leave and stuff, as you see from the theme of the videos here. It would not change that if I would sit at work, I would be as frustrated, or maybe even more frustrated, because I would have had even more stuff to do and finish, right? And then I would sit here with some Ethernet controller that bricked itself and lost its firmware. So anyway, I go flash this stuff. It is of course possible that this NIC burned, totally bricked itself. So it might be possible that even flashing this probably matching firmware back there does not revive it. It, like Watch Lewis Rothman writes, this ship could be dead. Although it still enumerates on the PCIe bus, so it's probably not entirely dead. But it is always, last pro tip, even if it still showed there, it could still be damaged in overheating or who knows what way, or electromagnetic whatever. Although usually it should destroy the, it's not called physical, right? What is it? The trans, is it called transceiver, Ethernet, how is it? The transceiver, this electromagnetic, what was this thing called? That shields something. How is this called after the physical? Anyway, you get the idea. Yeah, best was. I think what was this? Then once upon a time I knew how this is called. This is EMI and voltage filtering. Filter, is it called? It must be something more sophisticated than filter, isn't it? Anyway, you get the idea. So yeah, it's ridiculous. I really wish the PC industry would have developed itself a little bit further than this, but see you next time.